Sudden and terrible from the tower above, the sound of the great Horn of Helm rang out. All that heard that sound trembled. Many of the orcs cast themselves on their faces and covered their ears with their claws. Back from the deep the echoes came, blast upon blast, as if on every cliff and hill a mighty herald stood. But on the walls men looked up, listened with wonder, for the echoes did not die. Ever the horn blast wound among the hills. Nearer now and louder they answered, one to another, blowing fierce and free. Helm, Helm, the riders shouted. Helm is arisen, and comes back to war. Helm for Theoden King. This, of course, takes place at the Battle of Helms Deep, a signal before King Theoden rides out for death and glory against the Uruk-hai. Who was Helm, and why is the horn and the fort itself named after him? And how does he become arisen? My friends, let's find out. Helm Hammerhand became king at the age of 50. His father, Gran, died after many years of fighting with the Dunlendings. From the plains of Dunland they sought constant vengeance against the men of Rohan, whose first king, Eorl, had been granted land by Gondor. They lived on that land, and so they were forced into the mountains. They fought out of a fortress they had captured, called Isengard. The king soon came into conflict with a powerful landowner called Freke. This man was a Dunlending, but had Rohirric blood, and through this claimed to have descended from a king of Rohan, Freowain. Freke held land inside Rohan, the West March to be specific, and also outside Rohan's borders, both banks of the river, and he had also built a stronghold near its source. This landowner did not have a great opinion of King Helm, viewing him with scorn, and equally King Helm did not trust Freke. Freke tried to get King Helm into an agreement between their families, an arranged marriage. The proposal was between Freke's son, called Wolf, and Helm's daughter. Freke had the gall to interrupt a meeting of the king's council, accompanied by many retainers to threaten the king into agreeing. After the meeting, Helm led Freke outside the walls of Edoras. He told the retainers that followed to leave. They saw how many they were outnumbered by, and agreed. Then he smote Freke such a blow with his fist that Freke fell back stunned and died soon after. Because of this, the retainers with Freke left Edoras, and the king declared both Freke's son and heir and his kin as enemies of Rohan. 4 years later we pick up these events when a force of Dunlendings under Wolf, both corsairs from Umbar and Easterlings, invaded Rohan and overran it. Those not slain or enslaved fled to the dales of the mountains. Helm was defeated and withdrew into the Hornburg of Helms Deep. From that point of safety he survived a long siege. Elsewhere in Rohan, Dunlendings under Wolf also besieged Edoras, capital of Rohan. With his father pressed elsewhere, it was down to Helm's eldest son, Prince Haleth, to protect it, and he died defending the Golden Hall. Wolf after sat on the throne and called himself king, proving to himself some of the power that was in his blood. Winter came, and back at Helm's Deep, Prince Hamar with a small force left the walls to search for food. There was great starvation within Helm's Deep, but fate struck him down, and his men and him were lost in a blizzard. Helm grew fierce and gaunt for famine and grief, and the dread of him alone was worth many men in the defence of the burg. He would go out by himself, clad in white, and stalk like a snow troll into the camps of his enemies, and slay many men with his hands. Helm had a great horn, and soon it was marked that before he sallied forth he would blow a blast upon it that echoed in the deep, and then so great a fear fell on his enemies that instead of gathering to take him or kill him, they fled away down the combe. For context, the Deep in Combe was the well-defended valley of the northern White Mountains in Rohan that held both Helm's Deep and the fortress of the Hornburg. Then, after another sortie, Helm did not return. His body was found the next day in the morning, frozen in the snow. He was stood, dead as a stone, his eyes open, as if he was still ready to fight. Men on both sides, seeing this, believed that even though he was dead, the Wraith of Helm still wandered Rohan and defended the Hornburg. With his death at 68 and the death of his two sons, the war fell to his nephew, Fialaf Hildason. Helm's sister was his mother. Fialaf came down out of Dunharrow, to which many had fled, and with a small company of desperate men, he surprised Wulf in Medusaled and slew him and regained Edoras. The eastern invaders perished or withdrew, and there came help at last from Gondor, by the roads both east and west of the mountains. Before the year was ended, the Dunlendings were driven out, even from Isengard, and then Fialaf became a king. So the fortress was named after Helm, and the Hornburg, with its own horn, echoed the fallen king of Gondor. What do you think to this tale? Does it add to your enjoyment of that scene in the movie? Can you see the Nordic influence on Helm and how he gained his reputation? Comment down below. Thank you for checking out my video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for all notifications.